Okay. Oh, okay.
So you can record as well.
So we are recording.
Okay.
I'll just jump into the what I was just telling you about
Ken Wilbur.
Ken Wilbur and integral theory, and we can get to the other things we're going to talk about in just a second. But just to finish this thought, so you were talking about quantum jumping, and that the picture behind me looks like you're both your present self and your future self, and you're having a conversation. And it all seems impossible, but in the age that we're living in right now, with the advent of AI, now you put these questions out and then it becomes a reality all of a sudden. And we wonder how. We don't understand all of the components necessarily, but it's got access to this corpus text of trillions of tokens or billions of tokens, whatever it is, and it can piece these things together. So I first got onto this theory when I was in this race, and I noticed that while running, something about the exertion of all this energy brings up a lot of pain and anger for whatever reason. Maybe that's like part of wanting to try harder. You have to conjure up something, and so you just conjure these things up because it does propel you faster. But then I found that there's something even better than that, and it happened when I started thinking about Ken Wilbur and this integral idea that instead of infinity being like this line, he defined it, because really, whose job is it to define infinity, right? Does somebody just tell you what that means, or do you discover this for yourself? These are all human constructs. And so he defined it as, instead of being linear, it is everything kind of all at once right now in this quantum state. Now, I got into that framework about 4 miles into this race. And what happened is I couldn't see behind me, feel behind me. I couldn't feel the future. And so there was no like, oh my God, how am I going to run this distance? It was everything right now, all the sights, the sounds, the sound of the forest, being alone in this forest up in Washington State, the smell. How good can I be in this one moment? And when I went back after the race and looked at kind of the digital version of what I had just done and the GPS of the whole thing, it showed that that was the fastest moment of the race for me, was when you get into that state. And so anyway, that explains my backdrop.
The zone, being in the zone. And quite honestly, there are theories of time. You talk about infinity. What is infinity? That is time. Time is all now, past lives, future lives, present, whatever. It's all right now, bleeding in, and there are theories around that, and many people have experimented with it, and have used that to come up with mind-blowing concepts and solutions, and essentially collapsed time to create miracles. So people are using these theories and doing things that may seem superhuman, and it's not something that everybody has access to. It's not something that most people have even been introduced to as a possibility. If we don't know what's possible, how can we question even bigger, even bigger, even bigger, even more? Like,
Right.
it can be really overwhelming for people to even go there when they are living in the drudgery of their everyday lives, and they feel that they're in a place of slavery and suffering, and they don't know how to expand out of that, and they've never even been introduced to the possibility that there is something else.
Right, which brings up a lot of things. One of which is time dilation, which I learned from Joe Dispenza, who talks a lot about quantum thinking and all of that, and which then leads to the problem that we were discussing today, which is that of consulting, because when you're composing the idea or a proposal, or you have this idea in mind of what you want to do, you're already in that state. You've already, really, you've already done the work. You've created it. You've created the mood and the feeling and the atmosphere around it, and the dynamics and all the pieces you're going to pull together. In that moment, work is done. But now you have to package it up. Here's what we're imagining for AI. Now, you're already losing something right there in the transfer because it's going from a full body, holistic, whatever the word is, feeling of all these, your whole history, all the things you've ever learned, all the things you've seen up to this point are in that moment. But now you're going to somehow transfer that into this text, transfer it digitally, put it in a form that makes sense to the, like you've already lost something. It's like if you were at the concert and you heard the music and you felt the music, or you're playing in the group performing it, you had the experience. Well, now the person listening to the recording, you've already lost like 50% of the effect of everything, but it's still good. Mm-hmm. And so the things we were talking about today is kind of what we've captured, what we want to be able to share. We may not necessarily always be the personality type to be the messengers for this, right? And then how can you present these insights, because you know they're valuable. We've done the experiments for the last 9 months with AI, and we've seen what's possible with all these combinations. And what I was going to say is, we might just have to put on a magic show or something. I don't even know what else to call it, where people see for themselves.
And that is possible. And that is pretty much anybody that is actually getting people to sit up and pay attention is finding a pain point and showing them, look, here you go. Here's your answers. And having them be like, my mind is blown right now, because they don't even know what the possibilities are. So getting their attention for long enough to show them the possibilities, to start to open their minds again from, we kind of get like this in the world, right? And to come alive again and to open up and see the possibilities rather than having ideas and beliefs and programming imposed upon them through television, radio, society, whatever. If we can find a way to present opportunity to people to get them to be like, oh my gosh, I am a creative being, and I have all of these ideas and all of these hopes and dreams that I have forgotten about, and these things that make my heart sing that I forgot about years ago because life came down. We have an opportunity right now with the help of these tools and with other amazing human beings that are coming alive also at this same time to work together to solve big problems on the planet.
Right. You know, and so, because I know we were going to try to summarize the discoveries we had in just, this session. One of the things we talked about was it's as important to have the technical training, because sure, that is important. But if you have the technical training without the ability to see, the possibilities, to have the vision, to really have like some sort of a vision training, if that's even a thing. We also talked about creating like a new vocabulary around this, because we're in such a new space that we will need new terms to describe what it is we're doing. So, I had mentioned Dan Pink in that book, Whole New Mind, because he talked about this age that we would come to someday when we still need these kind of left brain sort of functionary, technical, get it done jobs. Because we don't want to say that anyone is getting replaced, but what we're adding a whole new dimension to this. And for those who have been maybe underemployed, and we're talking about people who think, who write, who imagine, I want to say in as kind of a way as possible that we should not discount these people. And instead of allowing them to kind of drift off feeling like their lives didn't amount to anything, or that their abilities, didn't matter in this economy or in this world, we're saying we can show you how to empower them with this tool, because now you have a friend in this tool, which is generative AI, which speaks your language. It's natural language programming. And now it's up to asking the right questions. How do we solve cancer not only on a local level, But how do we take the trillions of bits of information on research on cancer and various things like that and put this together into a cohesive strategy that can be used at local hospitals or medical centers? Or we had some other examples, I think, that you brought up. There was emergency services. There's climate change. I do have a prompt on Flow GPT, which is the meta-crisis game. I've got my global challenge game where students learn all of world history with 3 prompts that they run. But we were saying that we have to show people what this is, or they won't know how to use it.
That I think is a key. Thank you so much for bringing that, because that is something that I've been seeing. People don't even know where to start. And I love people coming to me and saying, like, where do I even go, and how do I even use it? And we're not talking about like these, speaking from advanced theoretical levels, or I'm not
No.
a scientist, I'm not a programmer, I'm a human. And it's speech. I love speech, I love communication, I love heart-to-heart talks. How do we talk to Chat GPT? How do we talk to the large language models? How do we communicate? Translating. We're translators. We're helping people to translate so that we're bridges, right? So that we can help people communicate and use these tools in ways that improve their lives, not disempower, but empower.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless here. So we were talking before about pain points, and if people aren't sensing that there is a solution here, there will be no impetus, no desire to want to learn these tools. In fact, they may be stuck in a mindset that says, well, these are just ongoing problems. And like you were saying before, work is tough, life is tough, we just have to accept it. Mm-hmm. But if we start reframing it as, well, what if it doesn't have to be? For example, let's say you have communication problems with all these departments in a school or an organization, corporation, whatever. People speak coded language within departments and within niches, or now they call them like mimetic tribes, various tribes on earth. Like, we're speaking like somebody in finance is going to speak differently than someone in like a Silicon Valley technologist versus, say, a rancher in Colorado. It's a different language, right? But aren't they really trying to solve the same problems?
Yes.
Like, can we get our work done so that we can get compensated, take care of our families, live life well? Are there better systems to help us do our jobs, right? And so if you have, imagining like a corporate data set or something, an organizational data set. This is like all the knowledge of your organization. Now everyone can log into it and have it interpreted in a way that makes sense to them.
Yes, exactly. It's like a global translator of sorts, because it's language models, right? So it's taking all of the language and the different ways of presenting it. And you may have a sense of belonging in your mimetic group because you're using the same language, right? Are you even interested in communicating with other groups to solve problems, or are you wanting to remain insular? If you are, okay, but why?
And you can ask why.
Yeah.
You can even say what you take some text, like in a proposal that you just wrote to someone, and you could ask it, what is my tone in this? Do I sound comfortable, confident, overconfident? Does it solve the problem? What am I selling? This is, you can match the text. Like one of the prompts I did was matching, employees or job candidates to a job. Mm. And then you run the 2 sets of data and you say, match these based on the following 7 criteria, which is like company culture, background, knowledge, and information specific to this job, et cetera. And we'll give you a percentage ranking, which could tell you, do you even want to be a part of this? If you're like a 73% match, and you say, well, I probably shouldn't apply. It'll save everyone a lot of time.
Right. So beautiful.
yeah, we talked about prompt libraries
Hmm.
that I think, well, we were talking also about the problem of people like you and I, we write these imaginative prompts just because we can, and we want to see what the result is, and then we get really excited about it. But how is, the economy is not even set up for this yet. The business around this is not even established. So we have to establish the worth of what this is.
Yes, and find a way to show the value, because not everybody's just going to see it immediately because it hasn't been done yet. So it's new, and people are not able to grasp, how can this help me right now? So being able to deliver not only the tools and the facilities, but to bring it down in a way that is consumable and tangible for people so that they can actually see the value of it, because there is so much potential value if we get past the fear of, how is this going to change my life? How do you choose to use it to change your life so that it's not happening to you? You're involving yourself in the whole process.
Right. Right. Well, I think I shared before that I have kind of prompts that I put up on my whiteboards, things that remind me of like what my intention is. Like,
Mm.
oh, now it all makes sense because I do this. I am interested in these things. I want to help in this way, or it just kind of guides me. Now, any employee can have several prompts. Like, will you just get down to the basics of what it is they're trying to achieve? Like, we are trying to let people know that we produce this thing, and this is how it is helpful. And please help us find the people who need this, who are using these 9 keywords. Like, oh, they're located here. We'd like to set up a meeting with these folks, and it's just, we could drastically be simplifying this whole process, because it seems like all of this wasted time, and it's really about, how do we connect these people with these people?
I think that's what it comes down to,
Yeah.
being the bridge.
How do you connect 10,000 people researching a cure for cancer or whatever with the people who need this information so that they can create these things in the laboratory and then get those to the doctors to use it? Now, all of this can be happening massively.
Connections, creating connections. So
Yeah.
rather than separating, there seems to be a bit of a focus on how these tools separate people. I'm seeing just the opposite, how these tools can be used to connect the dots, to connect to solutions, to connect people to actually benefit.
Well, right. So we're at the early stages where we met on this Denver AI salon on meetup.com. But you could coordinate people working in this area on a massive scale if we could set up the infrastructure to connect, like LinkedIn or whatever is one site, but there's got to be a way to find people, bring them together. Like, so we're on this Discord now, which is a jumbled mess of, I don't know if you've been on there, but it's like, how do you get through all of that information and all those channels and find the people you ought to be working with? That's a whole other thing to put together.
That is, it's interesting that you bring that up there, and immediately my mind goes to other generations, Gen Z, that thrives in Discord, totally gets it, absolutely loves it. This is a communication method that they understand. Oh, and they're able to do so much with it. They absolutely love it. We look at it and we're a little kind of overwhelmed by it. So what if we even facilitated learning from Gen Z?
Well,
You know what
so
I'm saying? To
you
come
bring
up
up
with
another
new
point.
ideas.
Well, this also came up in discussion, which is, we've got to get over this categorization of people based on age or gender or ethnicity, culture, geography. because now we're in an era where if you think a certain way, you ought to be working with these other people who also think that way. And so you can be, my dad was blogging at age 75 when it was like a new thing. And he just said, yeah, I want to do this new technology. I want to get my word out to people. And so there are others who are like over 40 who get, AI the same way a 20-year-old or 25-year-old would get it, and working in a startup. Like they're that excited at the same level. And what I'm saying is let's break down those categories and start working together.
Let's come together. That is one thing that these tools offer, because there are no age barriers. There are no socioeconomic barriers. Just about everybody has, you can even get a free phone with free Wi-Fi in so many areas. So maybe I'm not referring to every country. And that's one of the things that we're trying to assist with as well, is the bias of the data that is in these tools. But these tools can facilitate everybody coming together, regardless of your native language, regardless of your age, again, regardless of socioeconomic background, or any other anything that separates people, right? It levels the playing field so that we can all come together. These tools facilitate that. It's up to us to take advantage of them and come together.
I have my roommate just showed up, so we'll just do a quick summary. We edit this section out here if this goes on YouTube or whatever. But were there any other final things that you remember from our previous conversation that need to go into the the summary of our message? Because I think we were saying that we need to be there's something like there's that message that's incumbent, like for example the pain point we talked about, where the what if statements, like what if your company had the ability to bring out the best, the most productive version of each person, such that they were excited and motivated to be there every day because they were solving problems in altogether new ways. Yes.
That right there, that what if statement, and how these tools can help get you there.
Right. We talked about
like
new types of therapy, where it's like you're there, you work on it, and then now you go off on your own and you work with like a surrogate, doing your practices, doing your training through this bot that's been trained on this particular data set to help you with your issue, so that it's not about coming back and opening up those wounds, but it's like making you effective. So it's the same concept, but it can be transferred into any company, organization, school, medical practice, whatever. It's like your approach to AI and how you're going to open up solutions you didn't see before.
Absolutely. It is designed to help create new solutions, identify patterns in the data to come up with new solutions that we have not yet considered. And it's designed to augment us so that we can be more. That's what it's designed for. And it can help bring everybody together and make everybody more of who they already are and solve these problems. And there will be changes in finance, healthcare, education. All the major systems in the world are looking for transformation right now. And it's coming, and we can look at that. So how do you take your big grand what ifs and present them as solutions? And so what people like you and I are offering is that bridge. So we can consult with people and companies, find out what their pain points are, what they're trying to solve, and help them to get from here to there with the help of these tools because we understand how the tools work. So with these tools, we are offering that bridge to them.
Yeah, and it's as simple as they, the leadership team sits down, crafts the most important questions they can think of. We'll probably turn that into 20 or 30 more questions that they could ask, and then say, we will come to you with a way to get there, with a way to answer those questions in ways that you haven't seen before, that other technology cannot do. And it's really as simple as that. And there is a certain amount of trust involved, but we will have to come up with a way to demonstrate the magic, at least a little bit. But that's part of the training too, is opening up your mind to what is possible and then being able to handle it, because you're going to see answers and solutions that you thought were impossible. Like you just, collated and matched up all the information from our company and created this common language now that everyone understands and that the customers understand better, and the sales team and the marketing team and all that. And you have them talking and communicating way more efficiently than ever before, because everything is being broken down very well. These language models work so well in that way. It's being broken down into very simple terms. I worked at this one company in Silicon Valley where I would talk to the engineering team in India, and they would say, well, make sure that the CEO of this company understands like all these things that the technology can do, because we were selling like 3 things, but it could do 25 things. And I said, okay, well, I'll see if I can write that up. And then nobody had time, to like, oh, I can't look through those 5 pages. But now we do. We have something that can do that instantaneously.
Absolutely. And what you offer there is the key point, and it's the role that I have served in my entire career, is being the translator between C-suite and all levels of the workers, and being able to speak the language at every level and take it and consolidate it and translate from C-suite to this level, from this level to, this position or whatever. These tools offer that as well, so that these can communicate. So you have, I'll give an example. Say you have an engineer who is working on an outage. You have your outage manager, and then you have the stakeholders, the key stakeholders, right? And you need communication between all levels. The engineer is going to provide a lot of technical detail. These guys don't care. They don't understand it. Completely irrelevant to them.
Right.
They want the meat. Give me the meat of the matter. Where are we? How long are we looking at for a resolution? That's what they want. Right? So you need to understand what they're looking for and deliver that message to them. These tools can help that.
Oh, absolutely.
You can take all of the data and consolidate it and translate it into, what do I want to know? What's important and what answers my questions?
Well, this has been the problem, by the way, in education, and something that I've been advocating for, which is, changes to how students obtain information and then also show that they know the information. The idea that we have like one, standardized test, or even a test within a classroom for like all 30 of your students, or all 150, like at the high school level, to answer questions in the same way that everyone else in that room answers them, even though there are like 8 or 9 known areas of intelligence. And now there's all kinds of variations that are being discovered, probably through AI, of how people understand things or understand the world around them, so they could demonstrate that in different ways. Now, previously as a teacher, you wouldn't know how to assess that. But I imagine, and I haven't run a lot of these tests yet, but you could create unique tests for each student and be able to assess them. The answers out there, I haven't run prompts on that yet.
I have.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Customized learning and customized testing based on learning styles and interests, and customizing the curriculum in a way that interests and engages the student. What I haven't done yet is gamify it, but yes, that is absolutely possible. Customized learning plans and approaches and delivery per student based on how they learn and what they're interested in to engage them.
Right. Well, they could have their own classroom prompt.
Yeah.
Where the data set of the entire textbook is loaded, and they just interact in a way that is comfortable to them. Like, I'm going to start asking questions and like, I want to learn, can you turn this next section into a game for me? Yes, it's called blah, blah, blah. Here's your game.
Yeah.
And then you just have to show like, well, how can I show my teacher that I've learned this? Oh, I'll give you a test based on like, you'll need to take the survey so I know what kind of a learner you are. And once I know that, I will create a test just for you. And then it will. And then, well, my teacher doesn't have time to grade all these. What is a method that, and you will get an answer like, well, you can have peer tutoring, or like you would have 3 or 4 assessors in the class who are very good at that. And they will pass that information to the teacher. I mean, there's all kinds of possibilities.
Infinite.
Yeah, infinite
Possibilities. And it doesn't, it's the whole one way. It doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore, not in this world.
Yeah. And so we were trying to come up with a name because, again, there's such a new space. There's not enough names for what we're doing. So what we're really talking about is being AI facilitators, or what do you call someone who or AI enablers? I'm
calling myself an AI advocate. In fact, I have aiadvocate.ai. That is my domain name, and that's and it's not a Pollyanna attitude. I am absolutely acutely aware of the dangers as well as the possibilities, and I am a bridge. So I like the word facilitator, AI facilitator.
Right. I'm hoping we can take this recording, put it out there on the Discord, invite people to our upcoming meetings who understand what we're talking about, because I think this was a really important conversation for me to have, because I was feeling pretty much out there by myself in this space. I couldn't tell people what I was doing and what it meant. I just felt like I needed to be there.
Yes.
And so I think it's worth somebody's time to just say, these folks have a real good grasp, like a very humane, like holistic, it's business, it's education, it's everything in between. Bring us to your facility or to your leadership team, and we will put together a program that guides you through this to get the most out of your organization.
Absolutely. I think it's really important right now. And it's also important for you to know, and for me to know, we are not alone, that there are a bunch of people. We are still the minority, obviously, but there are so many people who are standing up right now and speaking and sharing their passion for this and their wisdom.
Yeah.
And wanting to really bring people together and share their individual gifts. I have my own background. You have your own background. We are all uniquely positioned to come together and share our gifts to help offer solutions.
Yeah. And instead of people worried about losing their jobs, we could have the opposite effect, that everyone will find out better what they can do and how they can contribute to this in some small way. We just have to ask the right questions, to envision maybe a new economic model, new business model for this type of thing. And we just want to get this message out. So if it's okay, if it's okay with you, I'm going to stop the recording.
Yep.
Because I don't know how to naturally do this. There's no there's no music. There's no like, where's my
yet. You need to build your intro and outro.
Yeah, we'll do that separately, but I'm just gonna thank you publicly now, because this was a good conversation, and I'll come back in just a second when I shut this off. There it is.